hospital. It's a cage.
This movie's been through countless speed bumps, as we talked about. But I know, like, for me, I can't really even look back at interviews that I did 3 years ago because I'm like, oh, I'm a totally different person. I've grown so much in that time. So what is it like for you guys looking back at something that you shot many years ago?
My brain literally just screams baby. Like the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, Charlie's a baby, I'm a baby, Henry's a baby. Like we're all just children. But to be fair, I still feel like a baby, just like slightly more grown up. So yeah, it's an interesting experience for sure.
Yeah, similar. It's a double-edged sword. Like you watch it and it's so long ago that you kind of, you kind of removed from it. So it's almost like not watching yourself, but you are watching yourself because you forgot about, what you were going, what you were doing at that time. But then, at the same time, you're like, it's still you. And,
yeah. I think it's kind of easier to watch it 3 years later, having some, separation from it, and then be able to just sit back and forgive it a little bit, the little in and outs of things. And, we were meant to have it out in April after wrapping in November. Mm-hmm. So I think that would have been harsher if you were like a hyper self-critical person like I am. Now it's like, whoa, okay, that's like a different person,
Yeah, you kind of compartmentalize. The merger was it was such an interesting ride because it almost felt like at some points after, I don't know, like the 4th or 5th release date, I was like, I don't know if this movie's ever going to come out. Was there a time where you guys felt like this isn't going to come out?
Yeah, for sure. I felt like, I have a friend who thinks it's not even real. He's like,
that was me.
Yeah. There's definitely a moment where I just, there was so much uncertainty. I just didn't, I thought there's a good chance that there's a good chance that maybe this never comes out. And then, it is kind of nice to find out, oh no, Disney going to go ahead and it's going to come out.
Yeah, and I feel like the excitement is even bigger than it would have been, if that makes sense. Like, what has the support from all the fans meant to you guys throughout this whole thing, especially recently?
I think it only grew exponentially. It's so weird. They only get more and more excited, and nearly feels like a marketing stunt. Like you keep pushing this movie and you get more people that weren't even interested in, to begin with, now curious. Like, what's this movie that's been delayed 4 times? And the fans been just, incredibly patient and loving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are characters that fans really love. Like the ones that know them love them. And this was originally set up to be a trilogy, I believe. So do you guys think there's a space for these characters to continue post-merger?
I mean, originally I always really liked Josh's idea of having this contained, a trilogy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in its own world. And when you watch the film, it does feel very much, in its own world, and these characters feel, very, very contained. So, that question of, could you see them popping up in other places? I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
I think we all love our characters, and we all had a really good time.
I agree. I think,
whatever happens, we're kind of open to it. But if this situation and what the world is going through right now has taught us anything, it's let go, make the best of the situation that you're in, and just like keep your feet on the ground. Planning is nice for like I love to plan, but I've now made peace with the fact that my plans don't really mean anything.
Right. Yeah, Marvel's an interesting beast, though. It's like, we never thought we were going to see Natalie Portman again, and now she's going to be Thor. So it's like, you never know. Things could come up years later.
Whoa.
Really?
No.
That's happening?
Oh, yeah. She's going to be Lady Thor.
Whoa. Wow.
That is sick. Oh, I love that. Thank you for that. I mean, that kind of made my day.
Oh my gosh.
So cool.
Charlie, Stranger Things is such a huge fandom, and a lot of people know you as Jonathan Byers. So how was playing this new character a new challenge for you, and what was it like going from one massive fandom to another?
Yeah, for sure. I think the challenge or the difference, when I first started with Stranger Things, you'll create, the character's written, but there's no expectation of what this character is. So, you go in there and you do your version of this character, and then also there wasn't an expectation for the show at all. So when it came out, you know, that kind of fandom was a huge surprise. Where I think the difference with when you take on a Marvel project or an X-Men project, like you mentioned, it is that expectation, and it's also, you know, also playing a superhero. I mean, you know, that's a very different thing. But yeah, and then going through the process, I think every project you do, you know, is a different, you know, I like to come at it a different way, and yeah, playing Sam was a different challenge for me, for Jonathan, for sure. And yeah, and then just the last part, fandom to fandom. You know, Stranger Things has a wonderful fandom, and I've been lucky enough to go all around the world and experience that. You know, because of this movie and our situation right now, we were doing this from Zoom. I haven't really experienced the Marvel fandom, but I've seen it, and I'm sure it's just as big and kind of adored around the world. So, you know, I'm excited to kind of hopefully experience a taste of what that fandom is too, because it's just nice to have such a response to these kind of loved, you know, pieces of work that you're in.
Definitely. And speaking of response, Henry, yesterday I kind of gathered that the Comic-Con in Brazil was like a big moment where you felt like, oh, we have this big fandom.
It was really surreal. I mean, we were in Comic-Con, like Elise and I and Josh and Nate, and we didn't realize that we were on the biggest stage of the event. And then as soon as we walk on stage, there's just this massive scream. I'm like, nobody knows who I am. So it's just, you know, outpour of love for the character. And it was really weird because you have to live up to these people's expectations. You also hope that they're going to love the movie. They're going to love the work that you put into the movie. But to play Brazilian, it's something that, you know, I was talking to Anya and Charlie yesterday. I nearly forgot for a second that I had like a little line in Portuguese in the movie. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, I'm also playing Brazilian in it. And it's my first time. So many of my first times is happening with this movie. So it's pretty special.
Well, I am out of time, but Anya, I'm going to die for Ileana. I can already tell. I love her so much. So thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Get her out of here.
Are you crazy? That thing will kill you.
He's right, it's magic. So am I.